The opinions expressed on the following audio program are solely those of the host and the guests. Burner Podcast is an independently produced, not-for-profit show and is not associated with the Burning Man organization or its subsidiaries. The views expressed are not representative of the entire Burning Man community and are presented here for entertainment purposes only. In short, calm the fuck down. It's just a podcast.
Hey, it's episode number 153, and it is 49 days till the man burns as of this recording. It's that time of the year where either the FOMO or the JOMO is setting in for you real hard. Because if you're the personality type that's listening to this particular show, chances are high that you're feeling some type of way about it, one way or another. Because it would be really fucking weird, I think. You'd have better things to do with your time than to listen to this fuckery. But then again, I don't know. Maybe you have a bunch of listeners. We have a bunch of listeners who just really like the Schadenfreude, is that how you say it, of listening to burners. Maybe there is this entire subculture of podcast addicts out there who could give a fuck about the topics and are just super into listening to people talk a lot. I will tell you that I learned this past month that this silly little thing of ours is among the top 5% of podcasts globally, according to Listen Notes, which is kind of like the Nielsen ratings of podcasts. So no pressure, everybody. Over the years, I've had listeners reach out from various parts of the world, many of whom discover this show when they begin exploring the possibility of making the trek to Black Rock Desert. It is not uncommon for folks to discover a new podcast and then just go on a binge. And I've had many messages over the years from listeners doing exactly that. I do feel particularly proud of all of us who have contributed to this project. Everyone who's ever been on this show has served our global community by helping to preserve our history and enculturate our newest participants. So today we're doing the thing that we do every year. This is the annual thing where I'm joined by a roundtable of collaborators so we can geek the living fuck out about this upcoming year's big burn, as they say in Texas. We'll chat about art projects we want to see, dance around about which dance floors we want to frequent, and go off on various tangents about Burning Man-ish thoughts and opinions. Maybe we'll throw some new survival tips in there, or maybe we'll just repeat some bullshit burners repeat all too often while you listen and nod your heads in agreement. That happens, I think. I don't know. Just keep your eyes on the road, since chances are extremely high that you are listening to this episode as you are driving out to Black Rock City. Or maybe you're flying in and dozing off on the Burner Express. In which case, I encourage you to really appreciate how not smelly it is right now on your way in. Today, I am joined by fantastic Sam, Dusty Bottoms, and darling Nikki, 2/3 of whom are from Acorn, Oasis. Maybe all of it. I don't know. We'll get into that. Strap in for an hour and a half of overwhelming nerdery. Today's episode is entitled Roadtrip to Burning Man 2024, the annual Pre Playa Planner trademark. I go by Mister Arash, even though nobody calls me Mister. Welcome to Burner Podcast.
Looking at all the life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills and rain. The first thing I met was a fly with the balls and the sky with no clouds. The heat was hot and the ground was dry, but the air was full of sound. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name.
I don't think I sounded like this when I first started this show.
You definitely sound like a Mister Arash.
Yes.
Nobody calls me Mister.
We're going to start.
Every group claims to be the first ones to start. I was really digging your playa name story, by the way, Dusty, because forever we've known each other for a while, and I keep going like, man, that name sounds really familiar. Where do I know it from? But can you share with us where it came?
So 2003, I was gifted this playa name in Huntington Beach at one of our little beach burns. My pants were covered in dust because of the little playa vehicle I had just pedaled up in. And I got up from my vehicle and I dusted off my derriere. And my friend, who prides himself on giving everybody their playa names, whose name is oddly enough Mike, Mike said, "Hey, you should be Dusty Bottoms." And in 2003, the movie The Three Amigos was still fairly recent memory. Three Amigos was a comedy western with Chevy Chase, Martin Short, and Steve Martin.
You son of a motherless dog.
Yes, exactly. So I am Chevy Chase.
I love it. I was particularly tickled by the fact that the guy named Mike is the one that comes up with the most playa names. Maybe he just really appreciates.
Mike has given more playa names to more people than anyone else I know.
Yeah.
And yet he's still just Mike.
He's just Mike. Just Mike is the name.
But I mean, Mike is famous.
Sam, you and I were bonding before we started recording about just having our own normal names.
Yeah. Nobody calls me fantastic. But
Your husband.
We're going to call you fantastic.
I mean, I don't mind it. But yeah, it's just Sam. And, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were asking, somebody was asking about my play name here. And I think maybe just from doing this show and just always being Arash, and most people don't know too many Arashes. It's already a weird enough name, which is funny because in Iran, Arash is like Mike. Mm-hmm. It's about as common as that.
For what it's worth, I know 3.
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense.
Yeah,
that would make sense. If you know a handful of Iranians, chances are you know 1 or 2 Arashes in there. Mm-hmm. That's pretty common. Nikki, this is going to be your first burn. You're our virgin in the room.
Woohoo!
I think we just playa named you too. Darling Nikki, we're going with it.
Let's go with it. I'm here for that.
I am psyched about people meeting you on playa and somebody recognizing your voice and saying, "Hey, Darling Nikki," and then that makes it official. Now you're that.
That will make it official.
Yeah. I think it's there's so many stories. Usually it's something, kind of funny and a little deprecating, obviously, that happens. But every once in a while too, somebody just kind of picks their own and it sticks. But a lot of times it's just something like this.
Yeah. Well, I'm open to it. If somebody gives me a name, I'll take it.
It's yours. I think we've decided.
It depends.
Okay. That's fair.
Do you? It sounds like you might have a story of that potentially gone wrong.
I don't, but
Hold the mic to your mouth.
I don't have a story like that in particular, but I mean, I don't think I would if somebody named me something horrific, I would not adopt it.
Yeah.
But I also think people don't have to have a burner name. So if there's anybody listening to this, you don't have to be named. You can just go to playa as you are with your real government name, and we'll all accept you and we'll love you no matter what.
I like that. That was very hip hop of you to refer to it as the government name. Yeah, I remember a few years ago, this really, really amazing young man who a group of my friends met on their way into camp, into Burning Man. He'd driven out. He was 19. He'd driven out alone from Florida and come to Burning Man.
Wow.
On his own. And I was like, wow, you're
Badass.
way more badass than I've ever been and I'll ever be. But so the cute part of it was that I was like, "So what's your name?" And he said, "Rattlesnake." And I'm like, and I just kind of accepted that, right? I'm like, that's a great name. And then as the week went on, I was like, we're kind of connecting as kind of a bunch of his big brothers, a bunch of us 40-year-olds. And at some point I was like, so where did you get named that? And he's like, oh, it's just what they call me around here. I'm like, who?
I love this person.
He was amazing. And then after I kind of poked back and forth a little bit, it just kind of turned out that he'd called himself that.
Well, Rattlesnake is a badass
It is a
playa
badass name.
Are you kidding?
It is a badass name. And here's the thing. I think it stuck with him. But at some point later in the week, I think like we were having like a kind of a hammered night. We're all pretty drunk. And I was trying to figure out where he was. We're trying to like find him. And I think in my drunkenness, I was like, hey, where's Baby Snake? Where's Snake Bite?
Oh, shit.
And then that became his name with our group.
Oh.
So you can also potentially have a couple of playa names depending on which group
Oh, sure.
you're in.
Yes.
You can have multiple identities.
Yeah, it's like having different relationships with people.
Yeah.
One, like my burner friends know me a certain way, and then my other friends know me a certain way, or my family knows me a certain way.
Yeah.
Is that called polynamorous?
Yeah. I love that.
But
We actually do have a good playa name story about our dear friend Ram.
Oh,
Yes.
Yes.
Actually, Dusty, I'll let you tell this one. You're a great storyteller.
so Ram is he's from London, and this year's his third burn. His first burn, he camped with us, and he's been with us ever since. He drank prolifically, and
Prolific drinker. I love that.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
he's in one of those countries where they start their kids drinking at 12 or something.
Yeah. I've always been told once you reach the bar in Europe.
Yeah, yeah. So Ram over imbibed one day, having a great time, and he passed out. And it was the middle of the day, like 3:00, and he was in our kitchen, and on a tarp, and somebody drew a chalk line around him, of course.
I mean, he was there for a long time, too.
We have
But you checked his breathing and stuff,
Yes,
I'm sure.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
we have a medical doctor and a nurse in our camp who work at the emergency services and all, and they checked on him, and he's like, yeah, he's fine. But at some point in the afternoon, he hurled
On himself?
onto the kitchen floor,
Okay.
and a little bit on himself,
Yeah.
and that gained him the nickname Ralph. And so now Ram has Ralph, but he's also a ranger now, and he's Ranger Love Fountain.
Oh my God, I love that.
He's the best guy ever.
He could also be Ranger Ralph, depending on who you ask.
Yes. in our camp.
No, but we are every year we get so excited to see Ram. He comes to us from London, and it's been so cool to watch him grow. Well, I mean, him and I attended our first burn together. Oh my God, do you remember that tent that he was...
Oh no.
He borrowed a tent from one of our friends, and this tent, and she was thinking, oh, I'm doing him a solid. We get out there, the tent's broken. And so this thing is just held up by sticks. And I mean, Ram is a big guy. He's probably as big as, like, tall as you.
Not only is it broken, it's like 5'5" squared. And Ram is like 6'5".
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like a little one-person
His
tent?
feet were outside of the tent.
Oh, totally.
When
He
he'd
was
sleep.
halfway outside the tent sleeping.
I couldn't do that.
I felt so bad for him.
He's such a trooper.
He really is. He's a true burner. So...
I dig that. Really what it comes down to, the amount of punishment that you can put up with and then have multiple playa names. Like, he's got more playa street cred than
Yeah, totally.
For
half
sure.
the burners I know right away. I love that. Nikki, so this was fun. You met this group through Buy Nothing.
I did.
Tell us about that.
I don't know. When you start to embark on your Burning Man journey, you just start to realize, like, the first year there's just so much to think about and gather. And I just realized that I just wanted to start early because I had a list. I have a list that's like 6 pages long. So yeah, I'm on a Buy Nothing group where we share and trade and all that. So I just started posting on there like, hey, anybody have a sleeping cot? This is going to be my first burn. And Dusty Bottoms reached right out to me, invited me to like 3 different events and a clothing
We're in the same
swap.
Buy Nothing group, of course.
Nice.
Yeah. And so we just connected through there. And I mean, overall, I've found that from as soon as I made this decision, just burners just pop out of the woodwork. Yeah. Everybody has just been so like kind and open, and it's just been overwhelmingly great. I love it.
Can I just say how smart that is to do it that way too? Because I think like people who are going their first year, I mean, I certainly did. You dive in and you spend so much unnecessary money. Like you don't need all of the things that like it's smart to do the buy nothing, like trade or be gifted something is so smart.
Thank you. I mean, I feel like that's kind of a lot about what Burning Man's about. So if I was just to go on Amazon and buy everything immediately, it just felt kind of counterintuitive. But, also, I don't know how I'll feel once I go the first year. I'm thinking I will be back. I'm like 99% sure.
You'll be back.
So,
You're already too deep in, my friend.
And then it'll be easy. It'll get easier from there. So
Yeah. No, you're already stuck with us. You can just read it when a person comes into a room right away. Like everybody's nodding in agreement. Buy nothing. Interesting. I feel like it's so interesting. I don't feel like we need to even really explain what it is. It's such a cultural phenomenon now. But like,
I think so.
Like there's buy nothings in every city that I've been to personally. And it's interesting because like it's about exactly what you're describing, Nikki, which is like to not be wasteful and to like connect with community. That's a big part of it. It's not just here, take this free crap and go away. Like it's the whole point of it is to like meet people, and it has such a strong burner like ethos to it. And it's funny because I remember like telling my brother about it, who's like so not a burner. Like his family is very like normal and vanilla, and like his interpretation of it when I told him about Buy Nothing was like it sounds like it's cheap people who don't want to go buy like their own stuff and they want to get free things, and it was like a quick like aside, and I was like, no, the whole point is not to just keep collecting more crap that we don't need and then use that as a way to connect with other friends. And this example is like the perfect example of how amazing it is to connect with community and do it through Buy Nothing. My first burn, Cable, who's been a guest on this show in the past, he actually got a lot of my stuff with his help, like through his Amazon account. And I was like, man, I'm really worried that I'm just going to I'm definitely forgetting like things and I'm trying to catch up. He's like, you definitely are forgetting things. And you're just going to have to deal with that. It's a part of it.
It's a part. Yeah. Yeah. It makes you stronger.
God, that's actually excellent kickoff topic. Jump back to your earliest burns, the veterans here. What was something that sticks out in your head that you forgot that while you were on Playa, you were like, oh yeah, I definitely want to remember this next time. And it's become a staple.
So, well, for me, my first burn, I did almost zero research. This was 2001. And me and 2 friends rented an RV. I threw my $3,000 mountain bike in the back. And I thought, I'm going to go mountain biking at Burning Man. I had no idea. So it's not that I necessarily forgot anything. It's that I had no idea what to bring. And I learned.
In your defense, when you look at images, there are mountains.
Yes.
That's very true.
You can't really get to them.
We
but
can't,
yes.
we can't conceive of how far away they are. But
once I got there, I was so nervous about my bike getting stolen, whatever. It almost never left the RV. So I walked everywhere.
Well,
your story is about bringing less things than forgetting something.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm going to throw you under the bus here.
Please.
Yay.
So last year we celebrated Dusty's 20th burn.
Oh, gosh.
But in 2022, or no, it wasn't last year.
It was.
You forgot your water.
Oh, shit.
Kind of a big deal.
2022, I was bringing in supplies for other campmates, including their water, and I forgot my own water.
Yeah, I mean, in normal burner fashion, we have such a network that he was fine. Everybody supplied him with what
Within
he needed.
half an hour, I had all the water I needed for the week.
But that was hysterical.
I've made peace with that just from doing a lot of traveling myself. I had this epiphany recently that the more you travel and the more you burn, not only do you get comfortable with knowing what things you need because you know yourself better, and that's part of the whole journey, but I think you also get comfortable with the fuck it. Like, fuck it. If I forgot this thing, I know how to make it work. Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's kind of an interesting new thing.
That's so true.
Yeah.
My first burn, I was so prepared. I was overly prepared. I mean, I had done all my research. I showed up. I had my shade. I had the perfect tent. I had everything great. And then last year, I overly did it. I parked my SUV in a Costco carport, and it was just so extra. And this year, I'm scaling back substantially because I know what I need now.
Yeah.
You know, it's so true. It is such a journey.
They say your second burn is the one where you bring way too much stuff.
And I did. Yeah. I didn't want to be that statistic, and I totally was.
Yeah, was it somebody had said to me, your first burn, you're a tourist. Your second burn, you're crashing on your buddy's couch. Your third burn, you're a resident.
Nice.
But I like this, the idea of your second burn being the one where you bring the most crap.
Your first burn, you go all, like Nicole can tell us, you have no idea. And you're like, I'm going to make this list and everything. And then you get there and you're like, I didn't realize I needed a unicorn head. Put that on the list for next year. And then that list just keeps growing. And then your second year, you bring the unicorn head and realize you didn't need it.
Yeah.
I mean, your experience going in 2001 has to be very different than mine because on Facebook, I'm on Burning Man 2024, Burning Man Virgins and Veterans, Burning Man Long Beach. And with all that, I have to almost scale it back and not look that much because my list just gets longer and longer and longer. So,
that's a good move.
Yeah.
Create limitations for yourself. Let me ask something. What is one thing that you have learned in this process that you're going to need that was nowhere in your periphery before you started this part of the journey?
I think right now I'm a little bit just focused on, my tent and my shelter because I just read so many different things about you must have this kind of tent. No, you must have this kind of tent and you need these lag bolts or you need these rebar and you need shade. Oh, no, you don't need shade or you need fan and you don't need fan. So I'm just kind of ruminating all of that in my head. And those are probably some of my biggest questions to ask experienced burners. Just give me some guidance in a couple different areas. That's
an excellent observation. Because everybody's definition of need and want is different, right?
And everybody wants to share it, their opinions on Facebook.
Yeah.
In all the groups.
And that's part of the burner culture that you're becoming very familiar with is that, everyone gets a lot of us get really obsessed with the efficiency of pulling off next year even better than that's the addiction.
It was better next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the level of snark. Yeah. You have to be so careful how you phrase a question on Burning Man 2024 because you will get immediate replies saying, don't go.
Yeah.
I would advise you to not look at the Burning Man Reddit.
Thank you.
Awful. They're awful.
Yeah. That's a good question because this is often a topic with us, with the veterans and how fucking mean a lot of them will be. What is that like for you? Are you laughing it off? Have you had any experiences where you're feeling legitimately irritated by something somebody said?
I think that I realized that page was not so much for me, so I'm tapping more into the Virgins page because while I can totally appreciate snark, I'm also in a space of really looking for information. So if I have to go through 100 plus answers of people just saying whatever, I'd rather just have the info right now, and I'll be a lot snarkier next year.
Yeah.
And right now I just want to kind of make sure that I'm as good as I can be, but also like really getting the idea and just leaning into the fact that I'm gonna be okay if I do my due diligence and I come in with the right like attitude that I'm self-reliant, but also nobody's gonna let me just die out there, wither away and die. So yeah, I think
we will
that
not
I'm
let
just-
you die. You're right.
Thank you.
Yeah. The cool thing about the Facebook groups is that you can search them. I think like some people will just ask the same question, but like if you search, you find so much like wealth of knowledge on what you're looking for,
You will get additional snark if you ask the question
Yes.
that was asked yesterday,
Yes.
and again last week,
Right.
and again the week before.
Yeah. Yeah, the Facebook snark, I'm having a hard time.
I have to bite my tongue a lot.
Yeah, like I like as in my spiritual journey, I'm having a difficult time finding the value in the snark when a virgin asks like a very specific question. Because I can tell you in my burner journey, I've seen quite a bit of value in it. I've like one of the snarkiest people in my journey who's also been on this show was Kurt. Kurt is a big personality in San Diego community. He was a lead of regional project, of the core project years ago. And like Kurt's snark like cuts deep, like it's a dagger right into your kidney. But I remember at some point going like, all right, if what he's saying is bothering me, that's because some part of me believes that thing that he's saying. Whereas like for example, I'm 6'5", right? If somebody makes fun of me and calls me short or short stack, it's just going to be like, okay, that's obviously not true. So I can't be bothered by that. But if they say something like, hey, you're being a fucking sparkle pony right now and expecting other people to do your shit, if it's like punching me in the gut a little bit, even if it's a little bit, I'm like, maybe I do have a guilty conscience about like not having pulled my weight on this particular thing. So I should listen to that. That's helping me out. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think a lot of the snark on the online forums, the various forums, is somebody asking a question, and darling Nicole, you are not guilty of this. Somebody asking a question that's clearly one of the basic things covered in the survival guide, or on the Burning Man website, or anywhere. Like, hey, are there RV hookups in the? And then people just lay into you.
I agree. They deserve it.
You haven't done
Absolutely.
even the basic research.
Even I can point those out. I'm like, ooh, this is not going to be good.
I saw somebody comment on one of those types of posts the other day. It's not too late to delete this.
That's my favorite. Yeah, if the information's readily available and you're making zero attempt, that's going to come back to haunt you on Playa in various ways.
Yep.
Absolutely.
On the topic of things we forget, which is shocking how often it happens. It's mind-blowing. I could not conceive of it when I was a virgin. I made fun of people about it myself until I myself forgot my fucking ticket. After
Guilty.
multiple Dusty
Guilty.
guilty. After this was like my multiple year. We were like out of San Diego County in an RV, and I was like, "Fuck, should I get it?"
How far did you get?
I thought about getting like an Uber back, like because I didn't want to hold everybody else back. If I felt horrible, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Yeah, and we ended up taking the whole RV back into town and getting it. We're like, but if we do that, we're gonna lose each other. So that added multiple hours.
I made it from Costa Mesa, Orange County, to Bakersfield in my car by myself when I realized the ticket is on the refrigerator.
Oh no!
And this was a year when you could still buy a ticket at the gate.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing the math in my head. Okay, $250 extra. I'll just try. Oh, I turned around.
Oh my!
I got the ticket. It cost me half a day.
Yeah.
So everybody listening, make sure that the first thing on your checklist in your phone or whatever when you leave your house to go to Burning Man is ticket.
If you can, put it in your car now.
So it's a physical ticket. It's not a digital ticket.
Yes.
Wow. News flash.
Yeah.
So it's actually, when you get your ticket, Nikki, it's a beautiful piece of artwork, and they rip off a little bit of it and give you the rest, and that's a keeper. You save that. They're really nice.
Cool.
Yeah. So the list of things not to forget, on top of that is the ticket. And
Number one.
Yeah, that's number one. And it's true. Over years of doing this show and talking to burners, it's like the thing that everybody absolutely makes fun of somebody about until it happens to you. Mm-hmm. I love it. All right, let's get into 2024 burn. Obviously, we have a couple of veterans in the room and we have a virgin in the room. You are not expected to have the level of expertise, but we are legitimately curious and intrigued and interested in how you see it and what you're going to think of it and how you're going to think of it, because Dusty has brought a lot of virgins to Burning Man. People who do, like the burners who do really get into that part of burner culture, like it really is particularly exciting for us to see all of this like through your eyes. The gift of your awe and wonder is like really something that we love.
I love that. I feel like sometimes in certain cultures or certain things you do, you're kind of like looked down upon if you don't have the experience, but I just don't get that feeling at all. Like everybody's kind of in it together. And so it's good to know that you guys are feeding off of my excitement and energy.
Yeah. No, what's that? What's the word? I'm blanking right. Compersion in polyamory. It's like compersion.
Perfect way to explain it.
Totally. We're all getting off on your newness.
So many times we always try to have a virgin or 2 or 5 in our camp, because watching Burning Man through their eyes reminds us how we felt, in my case, 20 years ago. It's like, oh yeah, that's cool. And it gets us excited too.
Yeah. There's a great Big Think video that I have like saved in my files that I go back to, and like it says like it's about like happiness and joy, and the psychologist speaking in it is explaining it's not so much like being thankful for like the great things that really contribute to happiness. It's the sense of awe and curiosity, and that's what I think we're tapping into when we connect with virgins and watch like the playa through your eyes. It's reactivating our sense of awe.
For sure.
Even if it's not always positive, it might be a meltdown. It's still new.
That comes Thursday, by the way. Meltdown?
I've heard that. I thought it might be like immediate, just because like the overwhelming experience or the heat or something, that it might just be like, whoa. Because I do remember feeling that at a regional
Set aside half a day for that.
Yeah.
Thursday.
Actually, good point. This is what I was going to say. On top of the list of things that we forget, this is not a physical thing. We often forget buffer time. And so like setting aside like a half a day for your meltdown. It's kind of like any sort of project management, right? Like if we think the thing is going to get done in 17 days, give it an extra 3 days for things that you can't plan for, like forgetting your ticket and having to drive back and losing half a day of your travel.
Yeah, I work remote, so I have that benefit, but I'll usually leave on like a Thursday and I'll just make my way up the 395 slowly and just take my time, because I know I'm going to be on playa and I'm not going to be able to go anywhere for 10 days. And I'm going to be dirty and dusty, and it's going to be hard, but beautiful all at the same time. Give yourself that space.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I've been a part of so many caravans that really just want to like power through and get there in one go. And I've always been like, why don't we spend one final night in default and like get in there fresh and ready? And pretty much 100% of the time that's ended up happening, whether we liked it or not. So I think that's an important one. Time. Don't forget to schedule time. Extra time. All right. So Burning Man 2024. Every year we do this Pre Playa Planner episode. Full disclosure, because I make a lot of my decisions based on my own laziness. I legitimately called it lean into the lazy because it's going to be enough work doing all the rest of it. So I was like, I would like to have an episode. This happened our first year. We'd like to do an episode about art projects. Gosh, I don't want to be the only one researching all of this and talking the whole time. So I'm just going to outsource all of this to other people and
Love
call
that.
you guests. Congratulations, you've been voluntold. So that's how this tradition started. And what we do is before each year, I send out basically the same list of questions. And we always end up running off the rails. Last year, we did it in Austin. Year before that, I think it was in San Diego. And we kind of jump around. And it's like a fun excuse for us to have this conversation and just kind of geek out. And the most ideal winning scenario is that a listener stumbles into an art piece somewhere out in deep playa and goes, oh, hey, they talked about this on Burner Podcast. And then like that gives them another level of glee about having discovered it. So some listeners in the past, some guests in the past have like come like super prepared with like exact addresses and stuff. But I mean, I don't know. Chances are low that people are making those notes. So anyway, we want to talk about those things. It's the same list of questions every year that I send out to the groups, and we're just going to kind of plop through them little by little. And the first one that I sent was 5 art projects that you are excited about seeing in person. I want to discuss that. And in those 5, the subcategories that I suggested was one massive one. You know what? Let's go through those one by one. Let's start. 5 art projects you're excited about seeing in person. Let's start with the massive one. Does anybody have one?
The temple.
All right. Oh, good call. Tell us about that.
Well, the temple is, the design is, I studied architecture in school, and so I'm always fascinated by the temple. And this year's is stunning. It's amazing. And it's always a very deep experience when you go to the temple. It's not just another piece of art. It's never just another piece of art. It's magnificent and so meaningful. And every year it just really strikes me. The temple is just one of the highlights for me.
I do appreciate you calling that out. And we talked about this because I interviewed this year's temple art lead artist for episode 151 of this show. And the thing that I've been enjoying elaborating and ensuring people understand is that the temple is not a given. It's not like it's not like the man where it's like 100%, like the org covers the whole cost and all that kind of stuff. Like it is its own art project. The art lead is leading the fundraising for it. It does exist. We do need to kind of support it. And I do agree. It is a beautiful art project. And for most burners, it is part of the annual destination that we make.
Incredibly spiritual. Yeah. And I think anybody who has not been to Burning Man yet, just don't expect to just be walking through there like, oh, willy-nilly. It is
with your camera.
Yeah. It is a very, how would you what's a good word?
It's powerful.
Powerful. Yes.
Yeah. It's, I have learned at this point, like, you might be with a group and at some point somebody will say, like you're kind of floating around looking at art projects and then somebody will say, hey, let's go to the temple. And then half the group's like, nah, not right now.
Not right now, right?
I'm not ready for that.
You do need to be in a certain headspace to go, for sure.
Yeah. Do you have, Dusty, a specific thing that you'd be, that you perhaps want to let go of or connect with at the temple?
Actually, not this year. No. Oddly enough, in 2019, one of our campmates passed away during Burning Man on Tuesday.
Oh, my gosh.
And so we were already there, so there wasn't really a way to make a memorial for him. We did. It was literally a 4x4 piece of wood, and we decorated it and whatever.
Yeah.
So that was pretty huge for me, for all of us. But this year, no, I'm lucky, I guess, enough to say I don't have anything I'm letting go of at the temple. I just appreciate its architecture and the meaning and all that.
Love that. I do appreciate the various different ways to experience and enjoy and appreciate things, you know. Nikki, do you have any info about the temple? What have you learned about it?
Everyone has told me that a lot of people leave after the man burns, but to absolutely stay for the temple burn. And so I think that's just stuck with me. So that was what I was going to say as well, is the temple. I can just gather that it's extremely powerful and spiritual. And so, I'm definitely excited. And it's interesting to hear you say, like, you know, kind of planning the time when you want to go in it, because that gives it some perspective of just how powerful it is, that I might not want to see it every day, or it might be somewhere that I could go when I need that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You people often describe this, even people who aren't particularly at the level of our hippie, like that it's, you walk in there and you can feel the energy, like really, like people who don't typically speak like that will describe it that way, which is very interesting.
You know, what I would really love to do is to see the Black Rock Philharmonic. Is that what it's called? Yes. But I would love to see them perform in there, which they do every year. Mm. And that is on my list this year. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good.
It will be beautiful.
Yeah. That's a good transition. Do you have a massive art piece?
Yes. Radial Sonic Runway. It's 25 gates that you can ride your bike through, and they're lit up, and it's going to be so cool seeing that across Playa.
Yeah, that's been there multiple years.
I think that's been there before. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. I don't think they were there last year, but I did see in the description that they had been there before. But I'm excited to see it. It'll be my first time.
I think that one is actually, I feel like it's like back by popular demand.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
It's such a great experience. It's so amazing. And I think they've actually had it installed in some places in default as well. Wow. Yeah, I don't know enough about it, but yeah, I agree.
Oh, nice.
That one's pretty badass. Sam, one that touches you emotionally is the next one.
Oh. You know, Nikki, do you have one?
I have quite a few.
I don't like to talk about my emotions.
I got you.
Good. Excellent. Co-host.
Okay, well, I mean, obviously I don't know all of the art. There's so much, and there's part of me that just wants to be surprised. And also listen to my campmates and my friends to kind of guide me as to their favorite. But as I was poking around, I was looking at the Ascension Arena, and I wasn't sure if that's an art project or if it's things that are going on in the arena, or I don't know. I just got curious about that one.
All of the above.
Okay.
Do you know about it?
I do not.
Oh, okay. Well.
But I know that a lot of art projects
read us the description.
Okay.
Very interactive.
Yeah.
Set in the Black Rock Desert, this sculpture features a golden boxing ring with towering spires symbolizing a spiritual ascent. Periodic performances emphasize the internal battle, transforming the boxing ring into a space for personal reflection.
Wow.
That sounds interesting.
I like that.
That certainly looks interesting by the picture as well.
What is the Mike Tyson quote? Everybody's got a plan till you get punched in the mouth.
You know, that's amazing, because what I was thinking when I looked at that picture was like Sock'em Bop'em, or
Which, by the way, life-size Rock'em Sock'em robots used to be a thing on the playa. I've seen it.
What I wouldn't give to see that in real life.
That was like 15 years ago.
I feel like somebody listening should take it upon themselves to dress up as Rock'em Sock'em robots and go be a part of this project.
Yes.
And then just punch each other?
I mean, until one of their heads goes into the sky. That's one of the things that I do. I think my favorite thing about art projects is not only the art project, but also the ridiculous ways that people will do stuff like this. Like, they'll just come up with it. They'll see the art project, and then a couple of days in, like, all of a sudden you go there and there's people in costumes doing a performance on it that they came up with that day.
I have something for that
Tell me.
I would like to talk about.
Please.
So, there is an art piece. There is an Acorn themed art piece, and I want our camp to dress up as squirrels and mob the Acorn art piece.
We're doing it.
Like,
I love
that is going to be awesome, because we have a squirrel camp called Acorn Oasis. So
do you have squirrel outfits?
Yes, of course.
That's going to be amazing.
Squirrel art museum, squirrel outfits, squirrel happy hours, squirrely hours,
Game arcade.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's awesome.
This is, I'm blown away that you haven't already officially planned this, because I wish we could just announce that it's going to happen on a day.
Oh my God. When I saw the art piece, when I was going through all of them,
But you're just asking
I
for
was
it.
like, oh my God, we should have like joined forces.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That happens often, where like we'll see like certain themes that'll develop. Like the year that I was working on the Phoenix art project, there was like the Phoenix art car was also coming the same year, and we just didn't get around to connecting with them. But that's like so much of the fun is like, hey, you brought a toy, I brought a toy, let's play together.
Yeah.
All right, Dusty, did you have one that touches you emotionally?
So, Echoes of the Heart is a project out of LA, and it's a large, like 8-9 feet tall heart structure with lights and all. But they're recording people's heartbeats and playing them within the heart. And I'm not sure exactly how the stories are being told, but it sounds like a very interesting project. I've met the artist, the lead guy, and I know they're going through some crowdfunding and whatever, which everybody is right now. But I hope they're successful, and it sounds like a project that they can pull off. I'm confident that they will. And I think it's just going to be, especially at night, it's going to be a kind of a beautiful, emotional piece.
Echoes of the Heart. That's beautiful. There was that piece that the Mayan warrior crew brought out a couple of times. I forget what it's called. It was like a large, big, huge thing. And it had like seating around it, where I think they collaborated with like the Heart Math Foundation, where like you'd sit there and it would like connect as people's heartbeats synced up. It would like get brighter and
Whoa.
yeah.
Oh, yes.
What was that one?
It was
called?
amazing.
Yeah.
A tall tower with lights.
Yeah.
And a woman's voice talking, and then music.
Yeah, yeah.
And stations are positioned around it. What was it? It had an interesting name.
Yeah.
There was one year, it was on I want to say Time to Burn, the phone app, where, or maybe it was Burner Map. There was an app a couple of years ago where on your phone it told you, here's where you are now on Playa, and here's where that art piece is that you're searching for.
Wow.
And through a halfway sort of dust storm, I made my way to that art piece. And it was fantastic, thanks to that app. But I really, really, really wanted to see it, and I was successful.
That's awesome.
And it was out past 10 o'clock somewhere
Yeah.
out on the Deep Playa.
It's a massive piece. You've 100% seen it.
Yeah.
It was like very predominantly featured in Ignite, the Burning Man short film. Highly recommend that. It's like 15 minutes, really gorgeous. Yeah, as you're describing that, Dusty, I was like, man, I would love it if I had a device that I could use just to do that, but it's not my phone.
Right.
So agree with that. I want nothing to do with my phone on Playa.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate, devices, and it's just I just don't want to be connected to.
You want a camera,
Yeah.
but you're a photographer, so you have a camera.
No, I don't take my camera. I'm like, get that fucking thing away from me. I'm not
Really?
At work. Yeah. And there's like a lot of amazing photographers that are shooting spectacular stuff. Like, shout out to Mark Fromson, of course, the unofficial Burner Podcast photographer. You know what? Fuck that. Official. Trey Ratcliffe. Like, there's some amazing work that people are doing. So it's one of the things I love is on Playa we get to embrace something that we don't do so much in default. So I like to just really focus on lifting heavy things and just doing grunt work. Like, that makes me happy in the dust and in the heat. And I don't want to look at the phone. But yeah, okay. Back to art projects. One that's fun or funny. Does anybody have one?
So, our friend Rebecca Waits is doing something called Releve ladies. And I had to call her and ask her how to pronounce that. And relevé means to rise up. It's a ballet term. And Rebecca installed a relevé ladies larger piece in England a year or two ago. And so she's sort of reprising that in some way on the Playa this year. And it's an honoraria project. And it's beautiful. And it's really interesting and fun. It's not deeply emotional, like to me anyway. I didn't get that kind of deep meaning out of it, but it's fun and a little bit frivolous and a little bit feminine and a little bit dancey. Like it has a lot of movement in it. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one.
I love the trajectory of her work. You know, the first one, the church trap, of course, is like the church trap is one of those art pieces at Burning Man that you would for many years see as like one of the consistent images of Burning Man in like all kinds of media.
Time magazine or any did an article on Burning Man, they would show the church trap.
Yeah. It was, you know, and that was our first one, you know, and like, and it was just, you know, it's such the imagery of it, the playfulness of it. It was also something that people who have no fucking idea what Burning Man is could still find humorous and entertaining, but also thought-provoking, you know. And then she tends to go pretty deep emotionally with her things. So I'm eager to see this project you're describing is more fun.
I'm proud that I was part of the church trap, and I certainly helped burn it down that week, which was a really interesting experience.
Yeah, I think what people like, you think of all this large scale art, but what we don't think about as often is how much goes into it. I mean, a whole year, if not more, of people, you know, crowdsourcing, you know, funding, building, coordination of people management and resources and
cat herding.
Cat herding. I mean, it's incredible what these artists do. You know, that's wild. I strive. Hopefully one day I can bring something of that scale to Playa. That would be so cool.
Next year, Sam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's an obsession. It is not logical.
What, Burning Man? Burning Man is an obsession.
Sure, yeah,
yes,
that
correct.
Do you have thoughts on what kind of project you would want to bring?
We're not at that stage yet where we're comfortable talking about our art project for next year.
Is it? Well, I just want to know. You don't have to tell me what it is.
It's interactive.
Okay.
Yes, and
But
many
that's what
people.
inspires you.
Yes, many people can make it work together, which is great. Yes.
And the most important thing is it's something we can do here in our backyards.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you seen one that seems fun to you, Nikki, from your research?
I saw a lot that kind of have to do with this year's theme, Curious and Curiouser, the whole Alice in Wonderland vibe. I'm seeing a lot of mushrooms and things like that. So that'll be fun to see walking around the playa or some interpretations of that. Does the art typically, I mean, I don't know how early the theme comes out. Like, does the art typically go with the theme or not always, some of it?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think mostly it does not. Mm-hmm. But I think people are encouraged to, and theme camps and costumes and whatever are encouraged to. But there have been some years when the actual theme was awful. And we just had to come up with our own. And the default art theme is always gay robots from outer space.
Okay.
You can always just go with that.
It is. The theme is for inspiration, not restriction. But sometimes you also, I mean, I've certainly been in rooms, which I won't name, with art projects where they're like, how do we tie this into the theme? I don't know, make up some bullshit in the description. Which is not an uncommon thing artists do, I'm sorry to say, because like when we're, the art part is like flowing out of us. We're like, I need to create this thing because I'm obsessed with this idea. And then when we have to actually like sell it and market it, we're like, come up with some bullshit. Like wine. Like, it's got hints of raspberry and chocolate. Does it?
No. In your imagination, it does.
Yeah,
right?
sure. Yeah, whatever. There you go. Curious and curiouser, whatever. Okay. One that's a returning piece or a returning artist. Does anybody have, I mean, we've already been kind of mentioning these, but is there one that's popping out?
Drone show.
Drone show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That
amazing.
is amazing every year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That saved, like in the Renegade burn, that was basically the burn.
Oh
The
yeah,
man burn, yeah.
yeah. That was the thing that really gave me the FOMO for not going to Renegade.
Yeah.
That drone show is like the best drone show I've ever seen. You know, like you see him at like EDC or you see him at different festivals and things, but like nothing compares to being on Playa and watching that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also work for a drone software company, so I think it's like extra special in my heart.
So I had a post for 4th of July that I was like, basically, I'm like, every 4th of July, that one burner in the family you thought couldn't get any more obnoxious becomes more obnoxious by in the middle of the fireworks display, turning to whoever's standing next to him and saying, wow, you know what? Once you see fireworks at Burning Man, it kind of ruins you for fireworks. Let me tell you all about Burning Man now. And that's what it turns into. So with the drone show, I love that that's happening now with drones.
Yeah.
We're going to become that obnoxious person.
I am that obnoxious person to basically everybody in my life.
Burning Man is the reason we keep going in so many ways. It's on the leading edge of creating reality. And I didn't even know drone shows were a thing until I saw it out there. And then now they're popping up everywhere.
First time I saw a drone show ever, I had no idea there were drone shows.
Yeah.
And then there's this thing up in the sky at Burning Man, and we're all just like, holy shit. Look at that thing. We have to stop right now and watch.
Yeah.
And it's magnificent.
Those are some of the best things, is no matter where you are, everybody just stops. Like the sunset, by the way. Have you been practicing your howl?
No.
Find an RV to get up on top of with, 80 of your best friends and practice your howl at the sunset.
The sunsets. The last sub-prompt that I have is an art project that's just so fucking Burning Man that you can't even. Whatever that means.
Who's got one? I've got one.
Go for it.
Go.
Okay, I am going to butcher this. I'm so sorry. Agaric argile. It is a mushroom,
Okay.
an LED mushroom hookah lounge. I cannot wait.
It
I'm
doesn't
so excited.
Get any more Burning Man.
That's great.
That's gonna be rad.
Great.
I screenshot that one yesterday when I was going through the art project.
Because that's it's the caterpillar, right? That's sitting up there with the hookah in Alice in Wonderland. That's great. I love that. All right, let's move on. Favorite bar or bar experience substitute on Playa? Can be one that you find yourself going back to every year, or one that you've heard about. I'm looking at you, version, and looking forward to. Yeah, and the reason I included, of course, bar substitute, because there's more and more of us don't drink anywhere near as much as we used to. Did you have one?
Yeah, I'm definitely curious about all of that. I've come across one called Fever Dream, which seems just wild. Rolling out the red carpet for your burlesque, musical, comedic, and theatrical plaisir.
Yeah.
Is that right? I don't know. It's so overwhelming to think about just the craziness. I can barely wrap my head around all the different types of bars and camps.
Yeah. Are you a drinker?
I mean, no, I drink less and less.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not super excited, but I know there's an absinthe bar as well.
That one's amazing.
Yeah.
They
I'd
have
love to find that
multiple
one.
different kinds of absinthe. It's all homemade. And just even the bar, the physical energy of the bar is really fucking beautiful. And I just found myself going there when they were nearby our camp one year every night, even though I wasn't drinking, just to hang out.
Cool.
The absinthe is really, really amazing. There's definitely a shift happening in culture in general, where people are drinking less and less in general. You know?
Yeah, I didn't go to Desert Hearts this year. I haven't been, but yeah, they kind of had a big thing right before it talking about how, we recognize that everybody's not really drinking as much, and we just want to celebrate that at Desert Hearts just as much as we want to celebrate those of you that do. And I just thought that was really powerful, because I feel that in my group and just in the culture in general, people kind of leaning away from that just getting wasted kind of mentality.
Yeah.
Here in Long Beach, where we live, there's actually a mocktail bar now that I've been to, and it's really fun.
Yeah, that's nice.
I stumbled into that one, not drunk.
Exactly.
Did you have a bar, Dusty?
So, two of my favorites on Playa, Spanky's Wine Bar is legendary.
Yeah.
And it's full of shenanigans as well as some alcohol. And it's always fun. Every time we go there with a group, we just have a blast. But then another one that's a different experience is Mohammed's Martini Bar, which is typically over on the 9 o'clock keyhole. And Mohammed's is beautiful. It's comfortable. It's elegant, but in a Middle Eastern sort of way. Carpets and rugs and pillows and costumes and lovely small cocktails. And the service is amazing. The people are amazing. We always love stopping at Mohammed's a couple times during the week.
It's a camp. It's like a camp tradition. We all go together. It's very fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
I would love to experience that. I as a Middle Easterner, I would never have connected a martini bar with a Middle Eastern
Yeah,
theme.
I'm not even really sure what the connection is, but I know it's just the loveliest camp ever.
Yeah.
A lot of times, I have definitely experienced a lot of projects and bars and camps at Burning Man. You're like, how the fuck did this thing get connected to this thing? But sometimes it could just be as simple as maybe the guy who started it. Who knows? Sure. But yeah, that sounds great. I'd love to check that out.
Yeah. Honorable mention to Jazz Camp. They are awesome, not only for the music and how they just have musicians show up and basically start playing together, which is so cool to witness. But they also have a nice bar where they serve, good wine, and I think they home make their beer, which is awesome to have a cold beer on Playa. So, yeah.
That's rad. My favorite drink that I've ever had on Playa was, I don't know which camp this was. They had a 90s happy hour. And they were playing nothing but 90s music and serving ice cold Zima.
Oh no! How do you
That's
even
amazing.
find that?
Where do you
Wow.
source that?
There is only one way to get Zima, from Japan.
What?
Yeah, they had I don't know, crates of it shipped over,
That's
and we're
incredible.
handing out bottles of ice cold Zima.
Brilliant.
Nice.
Whatever camp you are, if you're listeners, God, I had the most amazing time, and I never get tired of telling people about this because everyone's response is the same. You just
The
had
Zima.
Zima. All right. Next one. Favorite camp to visit or one you're looking forward to exploring for the first time? Obviously, Nikki, you're going to be exploring everything for the first time. So that second part of the question is you, if you're ready to answer that.
I don't even know my own camp. I mean, this is the first year with my own camp.
What is your camp?
So my camp is called Camp Beaverton.
Oh, you're Beaverton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they describe themselves as the iconic oasis for queer women and gender diverse souls at Burning Man and beyond. They've been there since 2007. I guess they're a legend camp. I don't know.
Yes.
That's an iconic camp.
Yeah. And I just kind of they were the only camp that I interviewed for. And just knew when I wanted to go that if this worked out that I would say yes. So I interviewed and got in, and so that's why I'm going. But yeah, I just have a lot of friends, not specifically in the camp because they're really like a group that is mostly in the Bay Area, but I just have mutual friends through all of them, and I just thought this is going to be a good fit for me. I just had a feeling around it. But then what's crazy is I was in the Bay Area 2 weeks ago for San Francisco Pride, and they ended up being at the festival, like at Dolores Park, right where
Wow.
all my best friends were too. I got to meet so many of them. We have so many people in common, and I was like, okay, this was
meant to be.
definitely,
That's
it was
perfect.
definitely meant to be. So I'm just excited to like really meet all them and just kind of dive into the culture of my own camp and then explore out from there.
Congratulations on finding a camp that
Thanks.
you resonate with so much. That's so cool.
That's
you.
awesome.
So I have a story from a few years ago that I wonder if it involved that camp. We had a beautiful 21 or 22-year-old young woman in our camp, brought there by some extended family members. And it was her first burn, and she was full of wonder. And on Tuesday, she left to go take a bicycle ride. And she came back Thursday. and so she was over legal age. She was 21 or 22. And so we weren't too concerned about her, this happens at Burning Man. She returned on Thursday. She rolls into camp and she goes, "I'm a lesbian."
I feel like if you were going to turn into a lesbian, this would be the camp to do it.
Yeah. So a little self-discovery there, which was amazing.
That's a beautiful story.
That is such a Burning Man story.
I have a friend who I think like she describes it. She described it a couple of years. I feel like where she's like, I'm gonna go hang out in Beaverton and decide if I'm gonna be a lesbian tonight. she kind of is like a couple
like
of days.
part-time lesbian.
Yeah. She shifts over when
Let's
she
get
feels
some
like it.
Confirmation.
But yeah, Beaverton. We've actually had some back and forth about getting an episode going with their leads. So it looks like maybe you're like what they call a backdoor pilot. Now that you're here,
You're the gateway drug.
You're the gateway drug.
Well, the mayor, their name is Abby, and she's just been amazing. So I'm sure she would be absolutely down to talk to you.
Yeah. We'll definitely do that. I was, as you were describing, by the way, who you're camping with, and you're like not sure. You're like, oh, I think it's beer. I was kind of chuckling to myself, putting myself in the shoes of all the veteran listeners who are also laughing at like, that's funny that this person is not sure if they're going to go back to Burning Man. But like the checklist of the way you're doing Burning Man is just like, wow,
You're for sure going back.
I'm setting
1,000%.
myself up to succeed.
you are a lifer, my friend. Favorite camp to visit? Or
Shout out to Teddy's. I just really like their camp. And I'm excited to go back and see them. I stop there a couple times every year, and I've made friends with some of their people. They have new people every year, as do all camps, but they're just a cool camp. I love their vibe.
Teddy's, what is their theme?
They have a big dome full of gigantic teddy bears in it.
Yeah.
And you get to like go just, it's like a cuddle puddle, like you just hang out in there. But they have a really cool just lounge space, bar. They have like theme nights every night. They have great DJs, and everybody's just really nice and friendly. It's a cool place to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 1 year I was camped across from them.
Yeah, their logo is like a teddy bear with like a pink teddies. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Well branded. I like it.
Totally.
Dusty, you have one?
I'm not sure if this counts. I think this counts. But Opulent Temple is always one of my favorite places to go. And they've been running this crowdfunder thing, and they achieve their goals. I believe they're building a new set. And Opulent Temple is the site of many, many very epic nights over the years. And I'm just really looking forward to going there at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
A little buzzed with my friends and just having the best night ever.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if that works as our transition. Would you say that's also your favorite dance floor? Because they have Opulent Chill some years.
Yeah, that's true. It is one of my 2 favorite dance floors. I would say the other one being District.
Yeah.
Which is taking the year off this year. District.
You're repping them, by the way, with your shirt.
I have a District
You're wearing a
T-shirt
District
on
shirt
right now. So quite often when these camps have crowdsourcing, fundraiser, whatever, I'm just in it for the T-shirt. Yeah. So here's $100. Give me a T-shirt. So
that's actually a great T-shirt too. Just a T-shirt that says "I'm just in it for the T-shirt."
That is a good idea.
You should make that the Acorn T-shirt.
Yeah. Wow. I think Sam and I are pretty much fully funding our camp.
Yeah.
So we'll be the only two with T-shirts.
I love it. That's a good one. Has District ever taken a year off?
Not that I can recall. Yeah, and I've been going there a long time.
Yeah, they're kind of District is another iconic part.
Well,
of
it's
the
the
Burning
day
Man
camp.
experience.
It's the day dancing camp, and it's the place where typically our camp says we set an intention at the beginning of the week. Okay, Wednesday at 2 p.m. we're going to District.
Yeah.
So put yourself in that headspace.
We have a dedicated district day in
Yeah.
our camps. Yeah.
Which is tough when it's 112 degrees out.
Yeah.
Those are tough years.
It's a triple D.
Yeah.
Dedicated District Day.
Yes.
I love that.
So we're going to have to find a different place to go day dancing this time.
Yeah, the cool thing though, I mean, not cool, but also cool is when these big camps take a year off, it enables other dance camps or other club camps to come forward.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see a lot of that this year.
Yeah.
It will be fun.
And so I'm really curious about the music. That's a big part of me going to Burning Man, but I don't know exactly how to find it or...
Oh, it'll find you.
It'll find me. And I'm excited to just ride my bike and just find it too. But then at the same time, I'm just curious, how do you know? Are there big names that sometimes show up? Is it something that you can read about in the guidebook? How does it work?
Rockstar Librarian's a good
Yes.
one to go to.
Yeah, Rockstar Librarian.
Yeah, Rockstar Librarian
resource.
is basically this goddess of a woman puts together a couple weeks before Burn, and she assembles all of where everybody, where all of your artists are going to be camp-wise. So you can just print out that guide or put it on your phone and follow that when you're at the Burn.
Okay, great.
But also there's live music places, and that is really cool to see on Playa. Not just beep, beep, boop, boop music. Live music is so cool. So seek that out too.
Root Pile.
Root Pile, for
Bluegrass camp.
Crossroads. Crossroads, live music, different, like a funk night and a blues night, and it's amazing.
Yeah. No, there's the live stuff when it pops out. It's extra. I've recently started getting into bluegrass, which is something I never expected I would. And but part of it had to do with Root Pile, just the vibe and
It's a fun camp.
Yeah. And they describe themselves as a festival within a festival. They have a full entire week lineup.
Rue-pile?
Yeah. You could just hang out there all week and you won't run out of things to do. Yeah. Rockstar Librarian, I interviewed Kate, I don't know, in the under hundreds, in the 60s episodes or something. And she actually is a librarian.
Oh, no
Actual
shit.
library sciences. Yeah.
She's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, the gift that she provides is just
Yeah.
amazing. And, another notable person is the BRC Weekly gal.
Yeah.
I mean,
Adriana.
Which just retired.
Yeah.
did you see her? I mean, her last episode, reading that, or not episode, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She is just so cool. And that was a huge gift. But thank you to both of them.
For many, many years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you share a little takeaway from that last BRC Weekly that you're describing?
Yeah. She was not appreciated enough by the board. And she should have received some kind of little budget from them to keep it going, because it was full of such cool, it was just such an awesome magazine. I don't know what you would call it, right? It's a magazine.
Newspaper.
It's like a newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that it happened the way that it did.
Yeah,
and
that's a
she
bummer.
was basically forced to retire because, I mean, think about that. It's a huge lift to bring all those newspapers to Black Rock City on your own and fund it all on your own. And everybody takes so much value from it, loves it, and the Borg just couldn't figure out how to contribute. It just, it's sad.
Yeah. Yeah. That, this particular topic is something that we're deep in exploring pretty often. And some of that actually came up with like the temple, for example, that the fact that it's not like fully funded and the artists still need to like raise all that money. The framework I use to navigate this is that the org is like the government of that city, but it's still like all of us that's bringing stuff. I'm not saying this is this isn't like a debate. It's not like I'm saying this has to be the way, but that's sort of like the way that I've interpreted it. So, for example, when a newspaper folds, it's a part of like the shifts in the culture.
I suppose you're right. That's a really good way of looking at it.
Yeah. I'm not. By the way,
I'm still bummed about it.
I'm not saying it is the stance. It's just I'm saying that's the framework that I've been using to navigate it.
I've been around long enough to where art and pretty much everything at Burning Man was a gift. Was always a gift. And if you needed extra money to bring your whatever out there, you had dues with your camp, or your friends helped pay for it or whatever. But then I don't know if it became a competition of sorts. Artists who wanted to get bigger and bigger and bigger and more expensive, and we'll get money and we'll raise money, and then all these crowdsourcing websites popped up over the years. And when I first started, they didn't exist.
Yeah.
And so now it feels like there are some artists out there who just expect that the community will put up the $15,000 or $20,000 I need to get this thing out there.
Yeah.
And 20 years ago, that was unheard of.
Yeah.
So that's I think a culture shift, but I think we're also at the point where we might be shifting back because people seem to be broke largely, and the bigger projects aren't always necessarily getting funded.
Yeah.
Also, bigger isn't always better. And I think this shift is going to prompt people to have that, I don't know, it's always creative. I'm not saying that Burning Man isn't creative, but creative in a different way. It's like going back.
So one of my favorite, most memorable pieces ever, way out in Deep Playa, was a mini Stonehenge made out of Spam.
Ew.
Oh, by
Did it
day
smell?
5 or 6, it was awful. Yeah.
It's almost as bad as the giant jar of mayonnaise.
Ew.
Oh my God, I love that. First of all, thank you for recognizing that it's not the size, Sam. But yeah, Scott Froschauer, I'm pretty sure you know Scott. Yeah, he's a build lead, and he very, very active participant, host of Build to Burn podcast.
Very prolific artist.
Artist
throughout the year.
In the default as well as Burning Man. He and I sometimes we get together and we have these like 3-hour conversations, and like one of them, we were kind of talking about how the most radical thing that Burning Man could do, and when I say Burning Man, I mean like all of our culture, not just the org, is to stop getting bigger. Like what if it's like everything else in the world is doing that? We're all obsessed. It's capitalist society. We're all obsessed. How do we get bigger? How do we make this more expensive? How do we expand this thing? How do we make it higher and taller and bigger and flashier? Like the most radical thing our culture could do is to go the opposite direction when the rest of the world is getting bigger.
Yes.
I think it'd be interesting to see that.
This might be your year.
No, it's happening.
They're having a hard time selling tickets.
It's a weird year from what I gather to jump into it, because it does feel like a shift. And I think like what you said was probably spot on, is that with the art, with the music, with the camps, the bigger ones maybe not returning or just not coming this year after, last year's rains and all of that, or whatever the reason is, will just allow maybe some of the smaller things to just shine even more. And that's kind of how the core of Burning Man started.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to shorter lines at the Sunrise Diner
Yeah.
Oh,
for
same.
breakfast.
I've started using the hashtag Don't Go to Burning Man.
Don't go. It's terrible. That's
go.
what I tell everybody. Don't go.
If you're listening
it's so
to this,
hard.
don't go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't go. I've been like making it the thesis statement of this podcast at this point. Don't fucking go to Burning Man. It's not because I don't want, of course I want you to go to Burning Man, but like, don't go to Burning Man. Like it's okay if you don't go. It doesn't need to keep getting bigger. It's okay to take a year off. It's a little bit like defund the police. Like I'm not quite at let's destroy all law enforcement overnight, but we also don't need to keep paying for them to have tanks. So
or Cop City.
Yeah. I that's like where I'm at with like don't go to Burning Man. Like it's okay if you don't go to Burning Man. Like you should go if it really calls to you. You should contribute to a thing because you're excited to do it, not because somebody's selling you on it.
And yeah, absolutely. You should do everything on your own your first time. Don't be influenced by somebody else. Do all of your research. Be a newbie. Go and experience it as yourself.
Yeah.
Make your own decision.
Yeah. No, Nikki's doing it right.
Yeah.
You have full approval. You're doing amazing. Dance floor. Did you mention dance floor, Sam?
Oh my God. No, I have to call out to whoever runs Planet Earth. I just want to tell whoever runs. I'm heartbroken. It is my favorite dance floor. And we love you. And we hope you can come back in 2025. We get it. And yeah.
In fact, we're going to abandon our camp.
Yes.
And come over there and help them make it happen.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
What is happening with them? I'm not in the loop.
They just due to circumstances of short in volunteers and committals, they cannot in good conscience bring their camp to Burning Man. They don't have enough manpower to even do it.
Wow.
Yeah. Which if I would have known that, I would have just said to my whole
Before
camp.
we applied for our camp back in February, whatever.
Yeah, and they're an awesome camp. I mean, so Planet Earth is an 80s themed club. And so every night you go, they have different themes like Depeche Mode night or,
Industrial.
Yeah, it's...
Hold it in.
Oh, sorry. But they have different themes and they're amazing. It's totally a club too. So it's all walled in. It's a room like plywood walls, and you go in and it's just like stepping back into the 80s and everybody's dancing like they're in the 80s. And
some of us are old enough to remember the 80s.
And people dress up and there's a great bar and everybody's really nice. I mean, it totally transports you. And we're going to miss you, Planet Earth. So if you need any help or anything, reach out to us because we would make that happen again.
For sure.
Yeah.
One of my earliest burns, like that was a regular destination because they had a 90s night. And I'm really into the 90s Eurodance stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, that's an interesting topic. I wonder if there's a way we can all contribute more to like camps that are breaking up and needing manpower. How great would it have been if we could take, this camp that's breaking up, this camp that's breaking up, and fold everybody in together like you're describing?
I've been saying that probably maybe for next year people will get the memo, but this year it's too late.
Yeah.
But imagine if instead of 1,100 camps that are half or three-quarters full, able to do what they want to do, we have 800 who can do everything that they want to do.
It's like the ultimate fandom, like we're a fan of Planet Earth. We would totally join forces with them. And, it doesn't mean that you can't bring your own art project to Burning Man. You can do both. You can camp with a camp and you can bring your own art piece or whatever you want to do. That's the beauty about Burning Man is you don't have to be defined by your camp. You can just do, if you want to have a lemonade stand in Deep Playa, go for it. Yeah. It's all you,
I almost feel like this direction, like this ideal direction that we're describing here that we could go in, this is a perfect example of what Scott and I were talking about
Exactly.
Going smaller. Like instead of in the default world in capitalist society, if a store is not selling enough meat pies, they're just going to close. Yeah. But like, what if the 3 stores across the street from each other all just like consolidate and keep going?
Yep.
We can do that.
Yeah.
It's our shit. It's our reality. It's our world. So
exactly.
I am annoyingly optimistic.
Well, it's kind of the perfect analogy because Black Rock City is a city, and if you think about it, your camps are that business that you just described, So
Totally.
yeah.
Do you have a dance floor, Nikki?
No, I'm
Not-
like
okay.
really don't. I love.
Do you like EDM?
I love it. So,
Thank God.
Those country western people,
Yeah.
they don't do so well out there.
I love that you call it EDM, by the way.
How realistic is it for me to think that I could like find your camp and go hang out with you for a day? Like, is that crazy to think? That
No.
Nearly
No, you did.
impossible.
No, it is possible. It's totally possible. And I think like on my first year, I thought it was so intimidating, the clock and like the streets. It's actually so easy when you figure it out.
Yeah. Okay.
And it only takes like
So
a day or two.
you may find the camp. Like you'll have the address written on your hand or tattooed on your arm or something, and you'll ride your bike over there, and there'll be nobody there.
I was thinking that too. So then I'll be like, all right, I'll come back tomorrow.
They're all at district dancing or something.
Yeah.
Or the other more likely thing is you jump on your bike. I'm going to go visit my friends at such and such. Oh, squirrel! Hold on.
Yes.
And then you see something shiny, and you're like, oh wait, I got to go check that out. And then before you know it, it's Thursday.
But hey, what's great for you in this situation is that you are looking for the squirrels. Literally looking for the squirrels.
That's a good.
Will be easy to find.
That's a good point.
But I do also want to tell you, this is your burn. So like this year, I'm not planning on seeing anybody. Sorry, friends. Love you. But, be selfish. Just do what you want.
Yeah, I'm already kind of like going into it with an attitude with my camp of like, all right, who wants to go out and dance? And just, but I don't know, there could be a camp right next to my camp that has great music too. Trying to get my friend on board who's a DJ and get her to come. So I don't know, we'll see. But yeah.
After Burning Man, it will be one solid year of you wishing you were at Burning Man all the time. Oh God, I wish I was at Burning Man right now.
Fucking blues, post-burn blues.
Yes, it's real.
Yeah. Don't make any important life decisions 30 days after a burn.
No.
I would almost say that's exactly what you want to do.
Or do.
Absolute chaos.
Or do.
Or do. One of the things we used to do is there's so much music out there, and you go to sleep in your tent or your RV, whatever, and you hear a thump, thump, thump over this direction and another thump, thump, thump coming from somewhere else. And there's so much music. When you get home and it's quiet, you're like, I got to throw sneakers in the dryer or something just to go to sleep because it's
Wow.
way too quiet.
It's like an oddly specific example. Have you done that?
That's pretty
I
good.
was going to say turn on some music.
I like
but
that.
Or
No. It's the sound that's kind of in the distance. Like my friend the Sheetard had asked if I could go take a recorder out there and sit somewhere between the temple and the man and record that ambient noise.
the ambient sound, yeah.
For like 3 hours. Yeah. And she's like, there's this perfect space right in the middle where it sounds and feels like you're inside of a womb.
That's
And,
beautiful.
yeah. And I've just never gotten around to doing it.
Well, my favorite recording is last year. I, hanging out in my SUV because the ground is soaked, and I have what's it called, Burning Man Radio, BMIR on,
yeah.
and I'm recording the BMIR radio, and it's just like shelter in place, stay where you are, and it is so cool to have that.
Yeah.
Oh, to have that at home after
Yeah.
you get home. Yeah. That's cool.
Sometimes I play it just because I
Yeah.
want to like take myself back because I don't know, it's fun.
We should make an art project that's the Burning Man experience, but here in the default.
Yeah.
Just cover you in dust.
The joke used to be empty your vacuum cleaner bag in front of a fan in your living room
That's really good.
after taking LSD.
Nikki, do you have an experience that doesn't fall into any category that you are eager to dive into?
I think I'm really aware of like the timing of this in my life, making a lot of big shifts in my life in the past year or two that's kind of led me to this summer and going. So I think I just am really open to just going with the flow and just really like knowing that whatever comes up for me, I can handle it and I'm ready for it. You know, I know that there's like things in my life that I'm looking for answers for and I'm not expecting them to come, but just the fact that I'm taking myself out of my environment, taking my phone away from me and just like diving into this experience, like I know it's just going to be something I can't really fathom.
I love that.
She's almost like obnoxious how well she's prepared for this.
I know, and it's so great talking to you guys
annoyed.
because as I say these words, everybody's nodding their head yes. Yeah. And as I say these to my friends who have never gone or have no desire to go, they're like, what are you talking about? It's going to be hot and dirty. It's gross. You can't shower. What's going on? And I'm like, no, it's bigger than that.
That's so cool that you have that awareness. My first year, like I said, I was like so prepared with all my gear and everything. I was not prepared for the emotional ups and downs that I was like, even last year was hard. There were really hard times, like just emotionally and like mentally, like mental health wise that came up for me that I just don't think I was really prepared for. I learned so much about myself, but like make no mistake, Burning Man, it looks amazing, it is amazing, but like there are hard parts of it in your own self, you know.
And like without divulging too much, like how did you get through some of those times?
Honestly, I feel like I feel like there were times that I was angry and there were times that I was sad and there, you know, and I just kind of had to sit with that emotion. I mean, yeah, maybe there was a time or two I would head out on my bike and that made things better, of course. But like, yeah, sometimes you need to get away from camp and it has nothing to do with like who you're camping with. I mean, sometimes it does, but like mostly it's not your camp members that are responsible for that. It's you, right? A lot of like what you were saying, Arash, was like taking that personal responsibility for like somebody who's snarky at you and you're like, oh my God, that like hurts. That's more a you thing than a them thing, right? And that's very much Burning Man.
Yeah, they're our greatest teachers.
Yes.
The people that irritate us the most. Now, Burning Man is a psychedelic. And just like with any psychedelic, don't fight the thing that comes up. If you allow it and surrender to it and flow with it, it will move through you and you move forward. But yeah, if you push against it, you'll feel it. And it'll get worse. My breakdown was like on Monday, by the way.
Monday?
Yeah.
Monday's early in the week.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. You got it over with.
Yeah.
That's true.
Everybody encouraged it too. They're like, this is fucking great.
Yeah. I'll go for that.
Yeah. It's like taking a huge dump. I think you've been holding it in. It's fantastic. Giant emotional dump.
Well, I got that out of the way.
But you said you wait till Thursday.
Thursday's usually the scheduled day. Sometimes it comes on Wednesday.
Is that because you know like it's halfway over or?
No, I think it has something to do with, I think, the amount of time you've spent out there, the amount of work you've put into it so far, and then the weather can affect it. You've interacted with your campmates or your significant other or whatever in certain ways. By Thursday, you've just had it with somebody or something or with yourself. And so it just seems to be a good day to schedule your meltdown.
I like that. I love that that's part of the getting to know yourself experience that happens. Like you get to know what your needs are and stuff. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that I have a 72-ish hour rotation happening energetically. Like for example, like I'm on Playa. I'm like, it's 72 hours before I'm like really here. I'm still acclimating. My body's acclimating, emotions, like, you know, and then so I've taken that with me to the default. When I travel somewhere, I look at the 72 hours of like arriving at a place and I give myself buffer time. I'm not going to be on top of my work. Like things aren't going to get done the same way. Like I've just learned that. Like and I have a reminder, 72 hours. Give it 72 hours. You kind of figure those things out. In my experience, like everybody kind of figures that out with themselves and they learn it because it's this intense environment. And then you kind of take that with you. You know, it's great.
Yeah. Earlier we were talking about how Burning Man is such a personal thing and you should just like go and not be influenced by others. You should just do it on your own. I couldn't honestly imagine going with somebody, you know, because there's so many highs and lows. Like it is so personal.
As in like a partner.
Yeah, like
yeah.
yeah.
I could see that.
New
And-
relationships out there are the worst.
Yeah.
It's the worst idea ever.
Yeah. I mean, you survive Burning Man together, you're good.
So true. I mean,
forgiving.
I don't know that, but like, yeah, people I know who are coupled and they are burners,
Yeah.
solid rocks.
Yeah. Now, once you go through that together, it's like going to war. One self-care tip. Dusty, what you got?
You know, my thing is learn what you need and what works best for you, and don't take my advice and don't take anybody's advice. And what I mean by that is I see all over online people saying, well, you got to bring 2 fresh pairs of socks every day. I literally bring 3 pairs of socks for the entire week because I don't wear socks out there.
Yeah.
And I haven't died yet. I lotion my feet. I use a little vinegar every once in a while. But I love wearing flip-flops. I love my toes, the feeling through the dust. And it works for me. And my feet don't get all painful and fall off at the end of the week. They're fine. So I would just say, you know, watch things, watch yourself, and know yourself going in what you're going to need. If you're going to need that extra lotion or that extra sunscreen, or you're going to need to wear a hat or whatever it is, just know yourself.
Yeah. One of the really good tips I got early on was to take some sort of a comfort item and
Like your whoopee.
yeah, like your safety blanket, your your whatever, something that means
Your
that's-
emotional support water bottle.
Yeah. And I did not listen to that advice. And then it took me multiple years to actually, and now I do that now in just regular travel. Like I'll take some extra thing that I don't need. I'm doing, quoties, but it brings me some level of comfort and joy, and it amplifies out there at some point in my experience. Like I'll
makes sense.
snuggle up with my blankie that a friend from years ago gave me when we were dating, and like to this day it's like my favorite blankie, and I've like just had it with me, and I take it with me on trips. It's just a
Nice.
soft thing, and I just wrap myself around it, and I'm like, okay. Sometimes I just want to cry, and I'm like, I feel like hugged by this thing.
Oh, we feel so much closer to you. Thank you for sharing that.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Do you have a
Yes,
safety
my
tip?
self-care tip is less alcohol, more salt. Yeah, like you think that Burning Man is this big party. Oh, I'm going to drink, I'm going to have fun. Talk about meltdown. That's like rest. I'm just saying. I mean, unless you are a professional drinker, but yeah, less alcohol, more salt. Like drink your water.
It's a marathon. Don't treat it like a
Yeah.
sprint.
Yeah.
I like that. I really like how catchy that is. That's easy to write down and remember.
I should make a sticker
Yeah.
for water bottles.
Piss clear, less alcohol, more salt.
Yes.
I'm with it. Yeah. I'm curious, do you have any self-care tips from just your life experience?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of festivals, and I've come to realize that I can't like rage for 3 straight days. I need balance. So, for me, it's ideal to like go out, have an amazing night, take a self-care day of just rest and chill out, and then I can go again. So I'm kind of thinking I'm going to bring that mentality of just like balance.
Hey, you've got a 72-hour thing too.
Yeah. Yeah. I need rest. I need electrolytes.
Yeah.
I need like some space. I can't like just go hard every single night. It's too much. And then you just don't even like really appreciate it.
Yeah. No, I feel like most people I've camped with, it's a common thing for folks to have like one fully like night off in the middle of the week or something. Like I'm just going to take tonight completely off, go to bed early, reset, like not do anything, not see anything.
There are spa camps. So if you did want to have, if you wanted to have that kind of like down day, you can head to one of the spa camps. There are many. And do a self-care day. It's beautiful. There's
heard
even hair washing camps.
I heard about the library. There's a library and it has air conditioning and you can just chill in there.
So does the orgy tent.
Perfect. I don't know how much relaxing I'd get in there.
It's a different kind of relaxation.
I still have my friendship bracelet string thing from the massage camp that was like down the block from us from 2 years ago. Yeah, it's still on me from like 2 years ago. Where I went there multiple times for massages. It was great.
Wow. It looks like, because you've worn it for so long, just like a string. But I can tell it was braided at one point. But yeah, you're really getting your use out of that one.
It's interesting. I have my this chakra bracelet that my mom gave me, and I was wearing it on this hand, and it got interlocked with it. And I'm like, as I'm trying to undo this thing, I was going through this whole emotional journey in my mind of like, what does this mean? My mom is getting in the way of this other. My mom's awesome. I'm joking. But yeah.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah. Hi, Mom. All right. So let's see here. We're nearing the end of our questions here. I wrote, it's not a competition, but is there a group of volunteers or a department you'd like to channel some gratitude towards, who maybe you feel like doesn't quite get enough love or attention?
Zendo.
Yeah.
Zendo, especially considering there have been some issues, lawsuits and such. Was it 2 years ago? And yeah, Zendo, I mean, they're, I don't know, literally doing the Lord's work
They
out
are.
there.
Yeah.
And
They really
they're
are.
volunteers. And for anything negative to happen towards them is just a crime.
Yeah.
But
I don't know about what is happening. I read something about this.
What event was it?
Are we able to talk about it?
Yeah, I can't remember what event.
It was-
it was lightning in a
it was
bottle.
LIB.
It
It
was
was
lightning in a
LIB.
bottle a couple years ago. But I don't remember exactly what. Did somebody pass?
There was a young woman who had overdosed herself.
Yeah.
And somebody brought her to Zendo. She clearly needed medical help. It wasn't just emotionally, we're gonna hold space until you come down. It wasn't that. She needed medical help. And so the Zendo people brought her next door to emergency services.
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, she's just high, and you guys should take care of her over there." And the young woman died.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
And it really truly was not Zendo's fault.
Yeah.
And the situation was mishandled, and I can't speak to specifics, but I do know that I really, really felt for the Zendo people who are literally just trained volunteers, but they're not medical professionals.
Right.
And they got caught in a situation where there were lawsuits and such, and the organization running the event didn't help them either.
Yeah, and I mean, they're funded on their own as well, so when something like that happens, they're bigly, how do I say, more impacted than like a lightning in a bottle or even that medical crew that they had hired. Like,
Totally.
They're totally impacted. They can't go and do other events and save more people and help more people, so
Yeah.
it is so unfortunate. But anyway, on Playa, they do the Lord's work, and we just cannot thank them enough. Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. I actually wanted to go through, I'm on their email list, and they do have like trainings that you can join. So I think I'm going to look into doing that in the next couple of months. But yeah, having some training on how to interact with folks having a difficult psychedelic experience, I think would be incredibly useful. Yeah, and they do. I've certainly taken at least 2 different friends to Zendo, and like it was an amazing experience. They were incredibly supportive. I think it was very helpful to the individual having a difficult experience. I really believe in their mission. Yeah, I would join you in that appreciation for Zendo. Yeah. They're amazing people. Yeah. What you got, Dusty?
So many volunteer departments at the Burn are important and crucial, but I think rangers are quite often underappreciated. I can never find a ranger when I need one, which tells me there aren't enough rangers, which tells me that enough people aren't interested in training and volunteering and all that. But rangers are almost a glue that holds the community together. And in the default world, somebody's having a disagreement with somebody else, or or having a problem, or something, you call law enforcement. We don't want to call law enforcement. There are so many steps in between now and calling law enforcement that you can go through and fix the problem or resolve it between the individuals or whatever. And that's what the rangers are there for. And they're trained to do it. And they're not, they don't do nothing. I know that a lot of people say, well, rangers' first rule is
the first rule is do nothing.
Do nothing.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, when you're entering a situation, do nothing. You don't come in guns blazing.
Yeah.
Which is what law enforcement often does. So I appreciate the rangers.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean don't do anything at all. It's just saying first allow like the energy to like calm. How do we engage this without activity and interruption?
You've got to assess the situation, read the people.
Yeah, I had another friend actually, another difficult, coincidentally on that topic, another difficult psychedelic experience, and I was working with her, and I was like, okay, I think we should go get the rangers because she was really worried that like something actual medical was happening, and this was a situation where it was just the psychedelic challenge, and her. Somebody else in our group at that time was like, do we want to get rangers involved? Is it going to be? I'm like, no. The rangers are our friends. Those are our people. And we went and got them. The rangers came and they were like, and here's an example of first do nothing. They're like, why don't we just go for a walk? Why don't we just get you out of this tent?
Right.
And we went for a walk, and little by little, my friend like calmed down, and little by little, she almost got like a little embarrassed at like how much. I'm like, no, don't worry about it. We're fine. We're out for a walk. This is a good example of first do nothing. We don't have to like run you and check you in and give you the medical. Like, why don't we just go for a walk? And sometimes that helps, and it helped.
But that appears like doing nothing,
Right.
but it's actually doing something.
Yep.
Yeah.
On the topic, sorry, I just have to do a shameless plug after we talk about rangers, that everybody should go and just pick up some Narcan from your local drugstore. I think you can, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to get. You can be trained online. It's really simple, but if you can, you should carry that in your bag at all times. Not for you, but for somebody else.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Narcan's a great thing to have. We did an episode about this before the last burn, and the big takeaway from that one also was don't assume that Narcan is the magic tool that's going to save the situation. If somebody is having a medical emergency, get the fucking medics.
Absolutely.
Also give them the Narcan.
Yes, both.
Like, don't do one or the other. Like, and that's like a common thing where, I don't think the veteran burners so much, but like a lot of like people coming from like default festival world are a little like scared of like wanting to keep it a secret. And those minutes really mean a lot. Those minutes where you're not getting the medic, and the medic's not there to get you in trouble, but give them the Narcan, get the medic, CPR, all of it.
Yeah, and that's what the training says is do the Narcan. You have to take them to the hospital or you have to get them help. You cannot just give them that and be done with it. But anyway, all right, that's my shameless plug.
That's an excellent plug. I'm happy you brought that up. Yeah. What do you think? Do you have a group of volunteers you've noticed?
You guys?
Yeah. I'll take it. All right. Last couple of ones here. Favorite food adventure, a camp or a diner, somewhere where you eat things. Midnight poutine is such a
Midnight
gimme.
poutine is iconic.
Yeah.
It's a thing you got to do once a week. We had some neighbors a couple years ago. What was the name of the camp? Midnight Pho? But it was a pho camp, and they started serving at midnight.
Yeah.
And you would bring your cup or bowl or whatever you had handy, and it doesn't matter if it had a combination of coffee and whiskey and margarita in there earlier that day. Now it had pho in it, and it was amazing. But honestly, one of my favorite food experiences that we go to every year is Sunrise Diner.
Yeah.
It's standing in line at 9 a.m. with 1,000 of your best friends, recounting last night's experience. The service they provide, the sandwiches and the coffee, unbelievable. I mean, they all work together so well as a machine. It's one of my favorites.
Love it.
Yeah, I
and
love
they're
sitting.
near us this year.
Ooh, yay.
Right?
I love sitting in their little seating area. They have all those tables. You really do feel like you're in a diner.
Was it Sunrise? I'm not sure if it was Sunrise Diner that had like a router set up for Wi-Fi, and like we would sit there and some people kept trying to connect with their phones, and every time you ask them like, "Hey, is your Wi-Fi working?" They're like, "Yeah, they're resetting the router right now." But they just had like the router, but it was not connected to any actual internet. So people would just stand around with their phones.
It's so funny when people try to connect to the internet at Burning Man. I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah. They did bring out extra towers last year for Mudman. The org did that.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. They brought out a couple of towers because people were like stuck, and they're like,
Yeah.
let's help you communicate.
Yeah, I noticed that. Hey, we've got Wi-Fi now over by Arctica behind
Yeah.
Center Camp.
That was not a prank.
That was
They did have Wi-Fi.
No, I went over there twice a day
Yeah.
to receive the text messages. Do you guys have Ebola
Yeah.
out there? I'm like, we're good.
The default world was going crazy with just wild stories about what was going on during the mud. And I think people still think that. When I tell them to this day that I'm going, they're like, oh, last year was chaos.
They tried so hard to Fire Festival us, and we're just not happening. We're having a great time.
Yeah, it was fun.
Food, Sam?
Oh, yeah. There's a camp called, and it's our friends, the Baconeers, and they have a bacon party. And it's like a DJ, and they're just grilling bacon and passing it out. And you'll be dancing, and somebody will come around and put bacon in your mouth. And it's very
It's
fun.
a great camp just in general.
Yeah.
Anytime you show up, there's something going on. They do such a good job. Shout out to El Keith, our buddy.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you'll get alcohol, you'll get bacon, and you'll get music, and it's amazing.
Fuck yeah. Bacon, I don't know if you've noticed, is a thing, Nikki. People who are vegan all year will eat bacon on Playa.
I am vegetarian. I'm like, I'm not going to that camp. And then I could totally see
You
somebody
just-
popping a bacon in my mouth.
Just
And
wait.
I want you to report back after and see if you were able to, at some point, did you say, you know what, whatever, this is the experience
yeah.
that I'm going to have, which is actually a good transition to our final question topic. An activity or experience you're looking forward to participating in, which might not fall into any category. It might not be art, just anything that you're just like looking forward to see.
Mine's so simple. It's just seeing the man burn, seeing the temple burn, really. Pretty basic.
It's good basic. We'll go with that. Go with your basic.
You really should see the man and the temple burn your first year, because that's the full experience.
Yeah. All right, Dusty, Sam, y'all got anything before we wrap?
What do you want to do?
What do you want to do?
What do you want to do,
What do you
Dusty?
want to do at Burning Man?
You mean outside of our own camp that we're feverishly planning right now?
Yeah.
Man, I hadn't even thought about it. We do have to go over to Playa Apologies party,
Cool.
because those are friends from LA.
Playa Apologies.
Playa Apology. I think their opening night party is Sunday night. And it's good people, a comfortable vibe, alcohol, music.
Nice.
All
Yeah,
the
that'll
good
be
stuff.
fun. Yeah, besides seeing the Philharmonic play at Temple, other than that, nope. Totally open to anything that comes.
Yeah, cool. I want to, before we wrap here, I just want to do a quick shout out to a listener of the show, Carnitas Taco, who wrote this book, The Unofficial Mini Encyclopedia Burntanica.
What?
It's really good. We're going to link to it to the Amazon page where you can get it. And it's like the perfect encyclopedia for exactly people like you, Nikki.
Wow.
Put
that's
this in your
amazing.
hand right now. It's like, we got to get you one of those. It's like, well, that one she gifted to me, but like,
That's
but I'm going to let you, you know what? I'm going to let
amazing.
you borrow that. Why don't you borrow that copy? And it's got like all of it. It's really great. It's got every kind of terminology and what little things, so much to learn. It's perfect. It's lovely and warm and welcoming. I've been skimming through it the past month, and it's like, it just feels really nice to kind of flip through and have this encyclopedia of terminology and history, and it's really great. So
I can't wait to
Amazing.
geek out on this.
it's super great.
It's like Burning Man for dummies.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like Burning Man for Dummies.
I love that. Wow. Thank you, Carnitas Taco.
Carnitas Taco, thank you so much. It's pretty rad. We'll link to it in the show notes. Thank you all for joining me on this episode. This is so much fucking
It's
fun.
been fun.
Yes.
Been a
This
lot
was
of
fun.
Thank you.
Yes.
Weird thing is, I'm not even 100% sure if I'm going to be on Playa this year.
What?
it's-
What?
Nothing is committed yet. I'm in the middle of a move to Las Vegas, and I've just like work and there's a lot of stuff happening. So I have also at this point done it enough times where I can like slap it together within 48 hours and go.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it's entirely possible that some art project or camp or whatever, all of a sudden will have people drop out last minute and they're like, we need help install. I'm like, I got you. That's exactly the kind of thing that I like doing. So
Have you taken a year off before?
never.
Okay.
It might be. I can tell you the last 2 years, a similar thing has happened where I was like not 100% sure all the way until like a week or two before the event. And it still happened. So
Wow.
maybe I'll see you in the dust. Probably.
I have a feeling we'll see you.
Probably. Maybe. Probably. Whatever. Thank you all so much. You're amazing. Thank you so much for bringing the camp. Thank you so much for all the work that you're doing to coordinate. And thank you so much for...
Thank you for the podcast.
Yeah.
This was
Thank
a
you.
lot of
This
fun.
was super fun.
This is awesome. I
Yeah.
had such a great time. Thank you for finding this amazing one
Oh,
and bringing her
she
in.
is amazing.
Inviting me.
I'm jealous. I want
Thank
her
you
for our
to-
camp.
Thank you to Buy Nothing Group.
Yes. Thank you, By Nothing.
Thank you,
you,
Dusty
By Nothing.
Bottoms.
Thank you, Thank you, Dusty, for producing this episode. I'm going to do the outro
Yes.
thing here.
Godspeed.
That's our episode. That's our road trip to Burning Man 2024. Is that what year it is? I can tell you, it pretty much seems to work for any year. Please share this episode with 3 friends. 3 friends, that's all you got to do. Just shoot them a text. That's how you support this show, even if it's like 3 a.m. Studies have actually shown that people really love it when you send them episodes of Burner Podcast in the middle of the night with absolutely zero explanation or context. It's much better than a booty call. That boring ass WYD. And sure, yeah, leave a review on iTunes and all that shit. Either way, thank you, listeners. Love you so much. As always, you are invited to pitch interviews in your neck of the woods. Throw some dough in the tip jar is what I've written here. In the coming month or so, maybe we'll start stepping up our Patreon presence if you feel called to support the show in that way. We've never really done it, but all these links are going to be over at burnerpodcast.com. Burner Podcast is produced by a revolving team, editorial team based in various cities. Your executive producer is Patrick Dillon Riley. Contributing producer for this episode was Dusty Bottoms himself. Thank you for making this happen. Both of the latter of whom are based in Long Beach, California. The Burner Podcast theme music, America's Horse with No Name remix, is produced by Joe Man. He's out in Austin, Texas. Until next time, love, light, and all that other crap. See you in the dust.
remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no pain.
burnerpodcast.com.